Hi, hello folks. Hope everybody is doing well. So for the last year and a half or so, more than a year and a half, I've been doing a lot of videos on cookware, pots and pans and whatnot. And in these videos, I noticed a few comments regarding this watch I'm wearing. So today I thought, let's have a change in topic and tell you a little bit about this watch that I've been wearing for the last 10.5 years. Now, if this video gets some interest, then maybe in the future I will also do some more videos on watches. But let's see. So this is my first ever video on a watch, and yeah, let's see how it goes. So just to give you a bit of background on this piece, I bought it when I was living in Australia in 2013. In March of 2013, I bought it secondhand. And now, how did I actually end up buying a luxury watch? Yeah, I was at the time I was a young guy. I bought I got a let's say a fairly nice job in Melbourne, and I bought myself a secondhand BMW. It was a 2003 5 Series, and I was talking to one of my friends online, and he said, well, you've got a nice car now, so now all you need is a nice watch. And at that time, I didn't know anything about luxury watches, absolutely nothing. I didn't know what they look like. I didn't know any brands. The only brands I've heard of was pretty much Rolex. Rolex was the only brand I was aware of at the time, and I have heard of Omega as well, but I didn't know anything really about them. So Omega is obviously this piece here. So just out of curiosity, I went online and I wanted to see what a luxury watch actually looked like. At the time, like I said, I didn't know anything about luxury watches. So I went on the Rolex website, and now my first impression was that I didn't really like what I saw. I think if my memory is right, the first watch that I saw online on the Rolex website was the Yachtmaster, the Yachtmaster 2 to be precise. And I just thought it looked really weird. So then I started looking at some other models, and the more I looked at it, the more it kind of grew on me. So the more I looked at it, the more I became interested in luxury watches. So eventually I decided to buy myself a piece. So that's how I became interested in watches. And I didn't really have a target of, have something in mind of what I actually wanted to buy. And I also didn't want to spend that much money at the time. And I was looking online, and I found this piece. This is a 2008 built Omega Seamaster 300 diver. So it's got the automatic movement. So this is the watch that actually was in Casino Royale with Daniel Craig, that movie, in 2007. But that's not the reason I bought the watch, okay? So I didn't buy the watch because I was a wannabe James Bond. I just, this just happened to be the watch that was featured in the movie. And I bought it online. Well, not online. I went to see it in person, of course. I went to see it in person. I got the serial number of the watch. I contacted Omega, and they confirmed that yes, this was indeed a watch that they produced in 2018. So that gave me the confidence that I was not buying a counterfeit. The watch, it came with all the box and papers and the cards, the whole package, which I don't have here, unfortunately. That's actually in New Zealand. I left it in New Zealand when I came here to Europe. And I decided to buy it. At the time, I bought it for 1,700 Australian dollars, which roughly translates to 1,000 euros, or maybe a little bit more than 1,000 euros. So it was quite a good deal. It was actually a really good deal at the time. And so ever since then, for the last 10.5 years, I've been wearing this watch literally every day. So it's had 100% wrist time. Now, as much as I like watches, I'm not really interested in having a collection of watches. I'm really more of a one watch person. Um, and um, and as I look back, when I bought this watch, I think I made a pretty good choice, because this is a watch that goes well with pretty much all occasions. It's not too fancy. It's not flashy. It's not too flashy. It's not very complicated. I like the simplistic design, so it means it serves very well as a sports watch. I mean, it is a sports watch. But it also goes very well with formal attire. When on occasions where I had to wear a shirt, suit, and a tie, this goes very well with formal dress as well. So overall, I think I made a pretty good choice. I'm pretty happy about this piece. This is the 40mm version. Sorry, no, 41mm version. There is another version that's the 41. This is the 41mm automatic. You can see the sweeping hand. There's another version that's the 36mm, so they call that a mid-size, but I find that a bit too small. Now, my wrist is not big. I've got a fairly small wrist. It's a 7-inch wrist, so I'll put it on my wrist for you, so you can see that it's quite. It fits. Here we go. This angle, it fits quite well on my wrist. I don't find it too big. I find it just the right size, and it's also not too thick. It's not too thin. So, all of these things that I'm talking about, I didn't really consider it when I was buying this watch. So I guess I was just quite lucky that I happened to pick a watch that's quite suitable. And now, in terms of the maintenance, when I bought it in 2013. So the watch was made in 2008. I bought it in 2013, early 2013, and the service, the previous owner did a service on it at the end of 2012. So that was another good thing, because I knew that I didn't have to worry about servicing it for at least a few years. And actually, I actually got a service this year, so the watch ran perfectly for 10 years, from 2013 to 2023. In March of this year, so that's exactly 10 years since I bought it, the watch actually stopped, and the crown actually, and I tried to wind it. So when I was turning the crown like this, it wasn't doing anything, so the crown actually broke. And so then I had to get it serviced. It did cost me quite a lot of money. It cost me 900 euros, which was actually quite a lot of money. But I was kind of able to justify it in my mind, because it has been 10 years. So basically, you pay 100 euros per year for for the maintenance of this watch. It's been a very long time since it was last serviced. It needed a lot of parts. And also considering the value of this watch, so when I bought it, like I said, I spent just over 1,000 euros for it. These days, if you sell this watch, I expect to get at least 3,000 euros for it. That's, I guess, not so much because the watch itself has risen in value. I guess it's just because of the inflation and whatnot. So if I was ever to sell the watch, not that I plan to, but if I was ever to sell it, I would get that money back. So that's how. Yeah, so that's how I was able to justify that 900 euro service in my mind. Now, the other good thing that came out of that service was that, when I bought it, it had quite a lot of scratches on it in 2013. And when they serviced it, they polished it. They actually made it look almost brand new. So so after the service this year, it actually came back in a much better condition than when I bought it 10 years ago. And then a few days later, I banged the watch against the wall, and I made this scuff mark here, which was pretty annoying, especially since I just had it fully polished, a few days ago. So overall, I have to say a lot of, I have a lot of positive impressions about this watch. I don't plan on selling it. I still, even after 10 years, I still enjoy it. I still enjoy wearing it every day. And I mean, if you look at the Seamasters from 2013 to how they evolved now to 2023, there's not much difference. I think you're pretty much buying the same watch. I think the only benefit is that, you know, the new ones, you get a better power reserve. I think with this one, you get a 40-hour power reserve, which really doesn't matter. If you're gonna wear it every day, then it's always, you know, you're always keeping it wound. So, you know, in that sense, the power, how much power reserve it has, it doesn't really matter. But the new ones, I think they've got a 70-hour power reserve, which is, you know, of course, which is more. But again, you know, it's not super important if you're gonna wear it every day. I do want to. There is some. I do have one regret, however, and I'll talk about that now. At the time when I bought this watch, this was, you know, this was what was affordable to me at the time. You know, spending €1,000 on a watch at the time, for me it was affordable. But the watch that I really wanted at the time, and I still want now, is the Rolex Submariner, and more specifically, it's the green Rolex Submariner. So that's the 116610 LV, you know, the green with the green bezel and the green dial. Now at the time, you know, at the time, Rolex was still obtainable from the authorized dealers and from other shops. I mean, by other shops, I mean the gray market independent dealers. So it's not like the situation now where, you know, you can't even get on the wait list. So at the time, Rolex was still obtainable. And I went to a couple of shops. I saw the green Submariner. They had it for sale, and the price at the time was, I could have gotten it for around 9,000 Australian dollars in 2013 and 2014. Now, back at the time, I thought that was too much money for me. So back at the time, I didn't buy it because I couldn't justify spending, you know, $8,000 or $9,000 on a watch. But if I look back, you know, on it today, you know, how stupid was I being? Because obviously, if you know anything about the Rolex market these days, so for a start, that particular watch, that green Submariner, today is worth more than 3 times of the value that it was worth 10 years ago. So if I bought that watch 10 years ago, I would, you know, my investment would have tripled. So that's, you know, that's I guess the one regret I have when it comes to watches. But still, having said that, you know, I have no regret buying this watch, and I'm really quite happy with it. You know, like I said, you know, what I want in a watch is, I'm not interested in having a watch collection, because I think it's just too much work. You got to keep them all wound. Well, preferably you got to keep them all wound, and if you don't wear one for a few days, then you have to wind it again. So that's a bit of a hassle. And the other thing you got to think about is servicing. You know, if you're gonna have, let's say, a collection of 4 or 5 luxury watches, are you prepared to spend the money to service them every 5 to 10 years? You know, if this watch cost €900 to service after 10 years, then if you have 4 or 5 watches, you know, you're basically looking at 4 or 5 times the cost just to service your watches. You know, and would you be better spending that money somewhere else? So that's part of the reason why, you know, I'm really a one watch person. You know, I like just to have one watch that's robust, you know, with a design that I like, that I can wear for pretty much all occasions. And a simple dive watch like this, you know, fits that criteria pretty well. You know, just like a Rolex Submariner, the Rolex Submariner also does very well in that regards. You know, a dive watch is kind of like buying an SUV. You know, when it comes to cars, because most people who buy SUVs, you know, will never take them off road, and it's just like a dive watch. And most people who buy dive watches will never actually take them diving. You know, I hardly ever swim, you know, so let alone diving. So, you know, so I never really take this watch. I have swam a few times with this watch, but definitely nothing heavier than that. Yeah, so I hope you... Yeah, so this video was completely unscripted. This video was completely unplanned. You know, I just thought I'll make a video on this watch just for the heck of it and just see if it gets any interest. If it does, maybe I'll make more, but if it doesn't, then it doesn't. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this little video, and see you in the next one.